Gilg J as Keeill Vaayl.
Shame a hat, you say, shoh shaltige, KISSACK CLARE shoh, Claare na Gael. I'm Robert Guttin Carswell, Robert de Carslach.
Have you ever had Keeill Vaayl Bobby Bob?
And it's my pleasure to present this programme, which comes in two parts. One part of it is in the English language, as to ISLA CALLISTER, and there's another part of it in the Manx Gaelic, Chinnian Amera, the mother tongue of Avian Fanning, the Isle of Man. As Banachta and Jurish. Now, David Robertson's 1791 tour through the Isle of Man brought us to St Michael's Isle, with its chapel Keeill Vaayl, St Michael's Chapel, and that led us to a legend about a Father Kelly. Now, he used a pirate's treasure, which he'd found buried in the graveyard, to decorate the chapel, and as a result of that, he himself came to a sticky end, and the chapel was looted and left the Thult, and it remains to this day. That's the legend anyway. We're back to David Robertson this time. To Quincey Morris jitgus tai Lucy Westenra looked they gedden chelgram by Arthur Holmwood, braich jay they gedden mach crenach to Lucy. Tea on stayed bach. As to Quincey Cordale rish forslen a cushlian eggus on Cochlair Foller, the Bwoaill Lucy. We start with a song by the Westerners, na cheayrt, a short-lived but influential Scottish Gaelic group. Formed in 1973, they made one album, The Sound of na cheayrt, and they disbanded in 1975. Tashu geistjach rish Radio Vanning Station na Nation, Viscol Scalia Mach, vai Dullish, Alan Vanning.
Sound hane juni chau eren hegat gane vain Curiad fhearainn sin guntaing Gambo kaing fhearainn yalag O sound hane juni chau
na SIARAICH, a foursome made up of Bessie and Norman MacLennan, Campbell Gunn and Simpson Pirrie, and there they performed the song Roinn and Yarran, dividing the land. We've explored more of the history of the Derby fort and Keeill Vaayl than David Robertson has done in his publication, although he's drawn our attention to them, which is the reason we had a look into their history. But, he says, the fine view we had of Castletown and its can't read this out, I'll try again. But, he says, the fine view we had of Castletown and its romantic bay afforded us far more pleasure than our researches among these ruins. At Derbyhaven, we engaged a boat for the Calf, where, after a very pleasant sail, we arrived about noon. The Calf is separated from the main island by a very narrow, rocky channel, through which the tide rushes with astonishing violence. The isle is about 5 miles in circumference, and is fenced round by gloomy caverns and stupendous precipices, which not only seem to threaten immediate dissolution to every approacher, but really prove fatal to many mariners. A few years since, a Russian vessel of 700 tons burthen was dashed to pieces against these rocks, and every one of the numerous crew perished. The caves and precipices of the Calf are tenanted by a great variety of seabirds. Fhearainn atchamach bheag Lucy as ve ginawuri na smoo na rai, son gair the jaach paltje fool stiach ons na kushlianek. Gerauwe korpek fregertacht den lies gemai is na kirnelje. Van streppe ek as bjoos rish, riddenach aglach, de agen is de glaasjen. Ach, ren junno gammers a griek as a skowen en scherige, as ren Van Helsing tilgastjach on morfia von gragen, maar ren e rai, as cheayrt is maije. Henke nielek, de wij Sabine down. Trail en allu arre gouds hai mischies na Grecian merish Quincey Morris, as hug me fairjane na Nien Vaayl de Chortalia de fairjane na Imini carriage for few. Deg me Quincey as een a lai shies lug de goi glest de fien, as dinch me den chogre de urlige and Gael mai. Esh henk smunion thou, as hie me back as a shamer, ongie valucinish. Tra henk me stiach na mila, choor me Van Helsing lesh duljek na reje paper screwy salawega. And recently we heard Breton singer Émilie Quinquis with one of her soundscapes. Well, here she is with a piece called Tres, which means to draw.
a grinta velvenu, Quinquis rem, a Christa fuselum, Harbun kelwomp, a Davyverbom.
Emily Kinkes, who lives with her husband Jan Tiersen, who we also heard there, and they live with their son on the Isle of Roinn off the northwest coast of Brittany, given as Ushant, of course. Sbachtel ve de rawyr fe liaia, as fy syrs munion chaws fe'n hiadw leis a lawg as a vesh. Va cumma de chwlina trom chwsiach sy'n edinega, je pech as ta mi awrasega na ISLA. Hugge a pebe daw, as grey veg, ach na grey veg, ach hutje vai ochrish Lucy tre renshin immerke gus a tobber. Treva mi liaie va mi machiada was gian nolu, as look fargach vry mi je. On senem ye, creit a bunje shoh as ulju. Rawi, na veli, as a Keeill, na crane sauce de gauw aglach ton. Vami gefotte gillian rauw visse mer Bwoaill de grey. Hien Van Helsing maag a lauw, as gawi a peber, as doorte. Na gin borre machion egenish, Ebudae getreit be fiss as tiglis ed der ulju, ons tre kui, as be shen the sand me. As nish, crane chwsh machion henke daw de lord. Ren shen cor lesh me back as riechid, as va me de bollocks as stayed cajun rish. Now, of this great variety of seabirds on the calf, David Robertson writes that their shrill, discordant tones increase the wildness of the scenery. Gulls, wild pigeons, and puffins are the most numerous. This last bird is not to be seen in any part of the main isle. The calf, I presume from its solitariness, is its only residence. It breeds in the rocks, and though remarkably fat and of a fishy taste and flavour, is esteemed by many of the natives as a great delicacy. Well, now, he's called this bird the puffin, but in saying that it's only seen on the calf, he probably doesn't mean the sea parrot that people love to see with its bright colourful summer beak, the Alca arctica, because they nest, or they certainly used to, on cliffs elsewhere in the island as well. What he's talking about here is probably the Manx puffin, which is the name given to the Manx shearwater, which in Latin is puffinus puffinus. However, in the case of either species, Robertson is wrong about their breeding on the rocks per se. Both of them use burrows. Now, many years ago we tried the dance the baccagh, and the most notable failure was in getting knives to stick in the ground, supposed to throw them in one at a time, but when we threw them they never went in. Well, there was that and the frog step. Well, there the baccagh was played by a multi-tracked ISLA CALLISTER. Siodiw stasiwn yn asiwn radio fanim, as yn sio tasiw geisiach rys Claare na Gael, she Robert Cutting Carswellmish, Robert a Carslach.
Did the other hear tell of old Bobby Bob?
Now, ascribing the name Manx Puffin to the Manx shearwater is because of the way it develops as a rather puffed-up-looking chubby young bird with that fatty, salty meat, as David Robertson describes, which was considered a delicacy, and there was an annual harvest of them, which shows how many used to nest on the calf back at that time. Let's return to Robertson's text now. We landed in a small creek, and, leaving the sailors beneath, with some difficulty and danger, gained an eminence, from which we had a spacious and delightful prospect of the ocean, with a variety of shipping for many leagues, terminated on the south by the high mountains of Wales, and on the west by Ireland, while around lay the broad summit of the calf covered with rich verdure, and underneath the rich valleys of the neighbouring shore. This isle is the property of the Duke of Atholl, and the land, with some little attention, would afford excellent pasturage. Several black cattle were grazing around. Henk me de Lord mechion a cheayrt vesh. Man a vel sin Gael on slawe de cheayrt, fuddy de be bing vesh, as vech fame a faber shen gul cor roi. Ta mi tresh jail na be famein bing vesh veon, son de berg shenain, gin auris yinnach maru Lucy Westenra, man a rau Bwoaill shen you. De fissem, as de fissed, as de fisseg a fairly elia va ten jail uri, de rau gorle krieg Lucy Westenra, as fod much cor cheayrt de duri bes vai. Lig dun lina mach a cheayrt a chul, as niem cor leshe mi hin, gus or recortasa, as gulvai shen gus an on luckerda. Fee vai, oh machara John, I maya, de fhearainn an in a Lucy, me vis trimshaks on the nodge and de crunjachas jach uri, man reg a goed sluice on a curge and de graiach uri. Nen, jees, tree, dat ul you forstel a cuslian och son, commas unshan dunje. Te de jaru, te fissem machara John, genel me dol. Now this is the Welsh duo BWNCATH with Ebudae Glyn, who takes the main vocal, and he's joined by Robin Llwyd on the song Curiad y dydd.
Wel mae'r lliwiau'n dal I droi o dy gwmpas, yn chwyrlio oddi amgylch dy ben, ond wyt ti di colli golwg ar bwrpas, yr oll ti'n weld I canfas wen, ac os daw unrhyw baent ar ei gyfyl. Mae siŵr o fod yn ddyn ein wyn, a ti'n dweud bod chdi di gorffan dy ymchwil, ond dwi'n siŵr bod mwy o liwiau na hyn. Mae rhaid bod mwy o liwiau na hyn. A wel I ni'r pysgod yn nofio yn môr heb swildod, a glywyd i'r adar man yn canu yn y coed heb swildod. Pam bod chdi a fi, wel fi'n annog torri'n rhydd o'n meddyliau sy'n neud allu ni o geiriad braf y dydd. Mae'r planed yn dal I troelli o gwmpas, yn chwyrlio oddi amgylch yr haul, ond i'r haul ddim chwaith yng nghanol ei deyrnas. Mae mwy o ser na hyn i'w cael, ond Yn o'r rhaid oes dim reswm nag orchwil. A gyd I lawr ar ddi a gwyn. A ma nhw'n dweud bod nhw di gorffanu ymchwil. Ond dwi'n siŵr bod mwy fywyd na hyn. Ma rai bod mwy fywyd na hyn. A weli di'r pysgod yn nofian y môr heb swilda. A glywyd i'r adar man yn canu yn coed heb swilda. Pam bod chdi a fi gweld yn anodd torri'n rhydd o meddyliau sy'n ein dallu ni o geiriad braf y dydd. Di'r pysgod yn nofian y môr heb swildod. A glywyd i'r adar man yn canu yn y coed heb swildod. Pam bod chdi a fi yn gweld yn anodd torri'n rhydd o'n meddyliau sy'n ein dallu ni o geiriad braf y dydd o. Bod chdi a fi gweld yn anodd torri'n rhydd o'r meddyliau sy'n ein dallu ni o geiriad braf y dydd.
Welsh duo BWNCATH with their fingers on the pulse of the day, Curiad y dydd. Sinnol iam os i'r na smwer cwnt y jay, nish imi. Sahalia yn trail henk mi Quwoaill Quincey Morris les chelgram son Arthur de inch day daraw Lucy Westenra marw, daraw Lucy Westenra ach nish daraw I gol na share, as daraw Van Helsing as mish Mary. Dinch mi der red van mi gol as renne SIARAICH de liga mach mi, ach chouds van mi gol doortje. Lurkt ut chit back, wel kedau grey vogel na ger ut cheder ingen indrugen. Rem mi snoggel ma fregert as hai mi mach. Gedoer mi dolie derby les je recordes, as rem mi reiger is een aanlokker in a doil de gitte jenu thuis son a choffin as de jenu reigesen. Tra henk mi back va Quincey vorucht an arm. Dinch mi de gin en lortrish geleers va fissem John Lucy, as hai mi suskus a cheayrt. Vi fors na cadla, as we gin the rowan olu scucha vain taagega liori. Now, as well as the several black cattle on the calf, says Robertson, formerly there was a large flock of sheep, but these, having only an old shepherd and his wife to protect them, soon became a prey to the nightly depredators, depredators? I'm not quite sure, I've never come across that word before. Depredators from the neighbouring island. In the close of the last century, one of the Earls of Derby was so charmed with the beauty and variety of this spot that he sent over some quantities of red and fallow deer, but these have long since disappeared. Hare, partridge and heath game are, however, plentiful, and to the few sportsmen who visit this spot afford ample amusement. But at present what constitutes the chief importance of the calf are the rabbits, the skins of which, with the feathers of the seabirds, lately produced more than £200 per annum. In our ramble round this solitary isle, we could discover no human vestige except a shepherd's hut, now falling to decay. Near the middle of the calf there are three-pointed three-pointed pillars, and we'll come back to those anon. Well, a song in Irish now, and this is by ENYA, but it's based on an Ariosto story about an island called Ebudae, thought to be based on one of the Hebrides, so it's not surprising it's rather in the form of a walking song. Ludovico Ariosto's The Dreadful Isle, or the Isle of Tears, Ebudae, as realised by ENYA. These three-pointed pillars from their novelty claimed our attention, says David Robertson. One half from the base being of a black bastard marble, and the other of a shining spar, white as the new fallen snow. So there's a description, a black bastard marble. And this is presumably the black Pwllvash marble, which Robertson suggests is of an inferior quality. And tradition has it that Bishop Thomas Wilson sent some Pwllvash marble for use as steps in St Paul's Cathedral in London. St Paul's was topped out in 1708, and building continued for some years after that. Eva Wilson's research, though, finds that some Pwllvash marble was used in St Peter's Church in Liverpool about that time, no longer standing and remembered only in the name of Church Street in Liverpool. And Eva Wilson thinks that this got mixed up with news of the building of St Paul's around the same time. And it seems to be Colonel Richard Townley in his Journal of a Tour Through the Island of Man in 1789-1790 that popularised the idea of Pwllvash marble in St Paul's. Vayan ach hugge ver gus na melanega remmi tiggled ar awi jerkel de jinnachi duster rosh fodder, as Bwoaill rosh chit rosh and duchus. Maso haimi noos gus Quincey is hug me lesha stiach sa chamber an Gael. Angie na rau na dollen and tarnit noos, as for begging the skinnel, the shash and the slew gin van a shamer an elia. Trefashin in Lummerken doort Jack Seward, chanel mi giri sai mi hin stiach ans bol big in care veon, a chane kush chajin bi shoh. Ta fissed de rau graem yin shen, as de rau mi giri pusa hi. Ach, ni jai de val shen ol jintas herish, chanel njartem genachten im neach me chonek, son shen as olju. Krevis gin a worry. Ren an allenach, shan den je brau morte, fod am fagen shen, grey en geer shen heg na nistu stiach sa chamber, de rau fe meriw ginu kachle falle elia, as de rau na nistu tulliet. Eric Ball's 1974 Rhapsody, the Cornish Festival Overture, played by the St Denis Band, conducted by E.J. Williams.
The Nation Station, Men's Radio.
As stasiwn yn asiwn the jar o sé radio fanning to the clashen, as Cornish sé Claare na Gael wiskel scalia mish Robert Cateen Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Ever heard tell of old Bobby Bob?
Ta vis my de wel shuish na fear lee lord in camera as nach liezert dan je jerkel tikkel na dat lord nog aan de privéjach. Ach, gene kush gaadje er shoh. As creer bi beson, tammy a njunu machootjer, na wel shen morte? Shen morte, doortni. As reneshen golair. Tammy shielden de rauwus, Thomas Van Helsing a njunu hanna na ren mish jew, na wel shen morte? Shen morte. As tammy shielden de rauw arts a goosjes, tre hondig me a keer lijn de henne, hies a gevol heen, ve jean quech. Genel mischer wij tarnet noes getavi is van mi moe a fampus, as valerem, binneliam, golfoon feer, olius an onni. Va fair jane a kratnig an moerishen, tad greirish vampiren, en goili sunni, as creelesh and sluggishies eggers, a kushlin fagich farslich, gerau fool de loerangi, de liggagi shadow soos, as we cor bullet na trúd, couds vi na lie. Jack, ma vis cair dot inch dau weg in bra foliacht, va Arthur and Chidair na rau shen ma way. Now George Lamplou's 1903 publication, Geology of the Isle of Man, says of Poolvash marble, among other uses it was wrought into chimney pieces, tombstones and steps. Being too soft to take a natural polish, it was covered with a kind of black varnish, and in this way objects wrought out of it were made to look not much inferior to the best Derbyshire black marble. The tombstones made from it show rapid weathering, so that's what George Lamplugh had to say. And the accounts for St. Paul's in London show that black marble was used, but that came from a quarry near Dublin. However, there were two masons from the island, Thomas Allen and William Pinder, who came to source Poolvash marble for their master mason, William Holland. They were working. William Holland was working in London, and Thomas Allen and William Pinder came back to the island to get some Poolvash marble for him. There's no record of it being used in St. Paul's, though. However, in 1873, some Poolvash marble was finally used in St. Paul's when it was used in renovating the north portico, where it was a good match, apparently, for that Irish black marble which had originally been used. Now, we heard Annie Kissack and Clare Kilgallen last time with a version of a traditional song in Manx, and here they are again, with a song collected from Thomas Winter of Andrus, Tammy Nish Kenya.
Tammy Nish Kenya. Tammy Kenya, a son ma cry. Dear Gael, me malama canis tries on the brae. Tammy Kenya, a hon. Tammy Kenya, has le. Tammy Kenya, a hon, he has le. Cadler a honey as le, Tammy Tim Jackson in back show. Ni and Yaura check the lead, Tanner and Yaura's fear. Tammy Kenya a hon, Tammy Kenya as le, Tammy Kenya a hon. Tammy a naggin gillion brow, gillion my, gillion stole as hen of rain. Up and gillion up below, cow bell Russian woe. Tammy Kenya a home, Tammy Kenya has le, Tammy Kenya a home, he has le.
As for Shen, Annie KISSACK Clare KILGALLON, Taminish Kenya, ISLA, I'm now lamenting night and day. Well, let's return to David Robertson's text again. Solitude is frequently the nurse of woe. The wounded heart seeks the deepest shade. That's H-A-R-T, the sort of deer type of heart rather than H-E-A-R-T. The wounded heart seeks the deepest shade, and the man of sorrow the most solitary retreat. According to tradition, this spot was once the haunt of a woe-worn hermit, who, by his splendour and affluence, had been distinguished in the court of Queen Elizabeth. But, having through an ill-founded jealousy murdered a most beautiful woman, he sought shelter here from the vengeance of her friends. Squalid in his attire, uncouth in his person, and wounded in his mind, amid the caves and lonely recesses of the calf, he lengthened out a miserable existence, atoning by the severest mortifications for his criminal temerity. And in fact this became the subject of a poem by Manx poet Esther Nelson, born in 1810. At that time her father, the Reverend John Nelson, was Vicar of Kirkpatrick of Derby. Subsequently, the Reverend John Nelson moved to Kirksanton in 1818 and then to Kirkbride in 1830. Gouds lore va komme fhearainn neach ag dunne bach. Ve gol tortige leis an higere spenten den ven ori va graige. As van kledden jou higelist jane foliach aglach va jean de grunjige magiet de mooi, gierige pienegge. Van krihi negge gol brisje, as gauw olju a firrinje degge, as va thuis brau moe je shen on yes, de rele vai brisje schies. Rem mi leeste rosh me dan soer me, son deni mi der ouwe arm, gin bra weg van allu gierig frail follage. Ach, channe we chwish versegge, as we cor chebber chwish, ne vodach or bi we on nai cor fregert. Maar so, dan soer me zijn onrij, shen mortei. As gauws de shore we Claare. Mas jai len. Esch tam I shielten Jack Seward, de welle cretuur Bwoaill as te graai ein uljuori, en gedden corrich jack ons na kushlienek, chow stage in tre shen, the fool, je care Daniel Ledger. Now we heard Emily Kincaiss, who lives in Ushant in Brittany, and back on the coast from there is Douarnenez, and that's where singer Andrea Aguil lives.
Gantine dorme, azer ver der geer. Onta da velle drem, drug livet vel on air. Apibes ponte vita, pa veler partirazon. Par gantalon die Quand vous à la glace, las andorfetures, med de hisotech et cuide, gandar bugelikes, anikedet agusa, ondurni daulagad, der barnech echonzau, me viritar maro. Me veljen arboreo, sen zo död, krenar ar pavé, gondar harat kenöd, das viskedi no wela, ragben uneramo, ondor fetures go, ludu aglau bero.
Breton singer Andrea Arcueil with Guers and Dorvedurez, the lament of the, delinquent woman, the wrongdoing woman. In fact, she was a young girl of a good family who was seduced and falls pregnant and subsequently goes on to kill her baby. So that was the lament of the delinquent woman. ENYA Veen, Chadod a Cledden Corbec Cummerly. Esh, as eichet fagus thou lore ons lie hanish elgesach. Cray gau mache. Now, Esther Nelson published her book of poetry, which was called Island Minstrelsy, in 1839. The collection contains her poem The Island Penitent, a legend of the calf. And we'll be looking at that next time here in Claare Gael. Ach de jaru a sen tashin ergit gus jera a Claare a cheayrt shoh. In just a few moments, Chris Pearson will be here with 2 hours of the best chill-out music for your Sunday evening through to 9 o'clock, and at 9 o'clock it's sundown with Judith Lay to ease you through into the early hours of Monday. We close with music by Scottish band Rura. Now, this is from their album, which will be released officially this coming Friday, the 17th of March. The new album is called Dusk Moon, and this is the opening track, Journeys Home, a joint composition by all 4 members of Rura, Stephen Blake, Adam Brown, David Foley and Jack Smedley. And I thought this was going to be a first, but Daniel Quayle got there first in James Jehania last Friday. Achanchabi, Shananish, and so until the next time, this is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert de Carslach.
Old Bobby Bob.
Wishing you a very good night. Evi McCreary was Orchelier, as my Yiri and shared you will you.